Hi, everyone. I'm here to talk to you about imposter syndrome. I'm Elaine here in Neukirch, and I'm customer support lead for an amazing startup company known as Scythe. I've been in information technology for 15 years and the cybersecurity fields for the last 10. I'm a mom of three amazing young women and a bearded dragon named Taco, who is also my office mate. He likes to hang out with me every day. And I'm a volunteer director of education for cybersecurity nonprofit. So my first question is, does everyone know what imposter syndrome is? And what does imposter syndrome mean to you? Anyone want to yell it out? Fake it till you make it. Fake it till you make it. Yeah, sometimes. So Merriam-Webster defines imposter syndrome. I'm not going to read it. Everyone can read here. But for me, the word fraud doesn't really fit. I feel like a fraud would be someone who's intentionally trying to deceive people. Where with imposter syndrome, you may not necessarily think you're intentionally want to deceive people, but you might feel like you are because you're putting on a front. So I found this graphic on an imposter syndrome blog I was looking at, and this kind of describes me every day when I let imposter syndrome creep up on me. I'm always like worrying about things I know I can't control, like how long I have to sit in TSA, for example, stuff like nobody else cares about, and then stuff that maybe somebody mentioned but forgot about, and I'm still like worrying about it now. And there's a lot of self-doubt in imposter syndrome. These are thoughts I used to have a lot when I was in different team meetings. I had a tendency to not want to speak up because I didn't want to sound stupid, or you know there were other people in the room that I thought knew more than me, so I would just sit there and be quiet. This is a list of characteristics of imposter syndrome. Was in Asana's imposter syndrome article. And I'm sure there's like a million other feelings and characteristics that we have. But I thought that this was pretty fitting. I know that for myself, when I start having those feelings again, I'm like worried I'm not going to do good enough. I think I need to like redo things, 5 or 6 times and be perfect. Otherwise, it's not going to be good enough for the rest of the team. I think we do tend to work, kind of overwork. I don't know. And then just, always setting really high standards for yourself because you want to be as good as everyone else. So for my experience in imposter syndrome and a lot of people I've talked to, like if you feel like you're getting blown off or you're giving out ideas at meetings and people are just ignoring you or talking over you, that's going to certainly feed into your imposter syndrome. You might compare yourself to other people, or maybe other people, your managers, your teammates, your family, people you deal with in the community, intentionally or unintentionally put you down or compare you to other people. That doesn't help either. I did read a lot of articles. I looked for a lot of statistics and studies, and they're not out there. The majority of them do focus on women. So there are the women of color or trans women in the studies experience this more often than other women, and then followed by women who work in male-dominated industries. I could not find any studies that included men. So, I mean, there's a lot of men here. I'm hoping that this is going to help you guys too. And I'm hoping that at some point, maybe there's more studies out there. So a year ago, I had no idea what imposter syndrome was. I watched a webinar. It was a panel of Black women in cyber, and that was sponsored by Women in Cybersecurity. And I was watching this and listening to these women talk, and I was like, oh my God, that's what's wrong with me. I have imposter syndrome. And then I thought about it for a long time and realized that I've had it like all my life. It started out when I was a kid. I had a stepfather who spent a lot of time telling me that I wasn't good enough or making me redo things because he didn't like the way I did them. And then as I went into high school, gym class, I mean, if you're not athletic, you can identify trying to climb the rope and not being able to, or, joining sports and the coaches are more focused on the superstars. That didn't help. But I did find my niche in high school with my Commodore 64 in computer class, which is where I lived for 4 years. And then as I got into IT, I started experiencing more of this because I had a lot of older male managers who were, I call them old corporate, who, didn't really feel like women could necessarily do it. So I had a lot of managers interrupt me in meetings or ignore my recommendations until my male counterpart suggested it. Also, just walking by me to talk to someone else and ask them to do something, which they then had to ask me. And my favorite was a CEO told me I was constantly looking for recognition and that I should stop that, which I totally didn't get because I was just like trying to get them to hear me. So, can you recover from imposter syndrome? I don't think you can. I did a lot of reading and watched a lot of videos, and everyone says like it just lurks there, right? It's always just like this little creepy troll waiting to jump out on you, is how I see it. Like, I'm getting better at it, but there's still days where it kind of creeps in. For example, when I submitted the CFP for this talk, I did it just to do it, but I didn't think I was going to get picked. And then when I got picked, I was like, oh, nobody else submitted that needed to fill a slot. So these are my steps that I took to get me on that path to recovery. I got a job at Scythe a year ago, and they're amazing. Like, everybody supports everyone. We have the males, females, everyone working there, and we encourage each other to do stuff like this. So my manager and my coworker Tim encouraged me to like write a blog, and then they encouraged me to submit for a talk. And so I did. And I was like, well, I'm not going to get picked, but I'll do it. Like, work past that worrying about failing and just go do it. I also joined a mentor and mentee community on LinkedIn and found that, excuse me, everyone's really supportive there. Like, you can bounce ideas off people and we all listen to each other. Like, I found a network of people that actually want to hear what we have to say. And then I also go out of my way to help other people and encourage them to do the things they're afraid of as well. And yeah, I still doubt myself and my abilities, but I remind myself that I do know things other people don't know. We're all different. We're not all on the same level of learning. And I may not be as smart as some people or as good at something as some people, but I think they probably feel the same about that. Excuse me, with me, because nobody is as funny as me. So everyone feels that way. So here's my tips for kicking it to the curve. Just know that you're amazing and you can do things other people can't do. Find a supportive network, either a group of people virtually or in person. And if you have an unsupportive culture or managers where you work, it might be time to find something else. Like you don't have to deal with that. Just, you know, there's a lot of jobs out there and it's okay to fail. If you fail, try again. It's going to push you to improve and do better down the road. And get out of your comfort zone. Just be yourself and do the best you can. And then when that self-doubt like starts crawling in, try to think of things that you are good at or reasons why you shouldn't listen to these other people that might be putting those doubts in your head, and just be yourself. That's all I have. Does anyone have any questions or comments or input?
When you were looking at your studies, did you find anything that looked at the relationship or I guess like the rates of imposter syndrome in extroverts versus introverts?
I did find, so the question was if I found any like papers or statistics on introverts versus extroverts. I found a couple of like college studies. There were some studies on college students that were kind of like that, but not a lot, no.
No, was it kind of leaning towards like introverts being more likely to identify with this?
Yeah, they were, and I mean, I'm an introvert, so I think I don't know like in reality, but a lot of people I've talked to are introverts and they feel that way too. So it's probably like harder for us to get out there and put ourselves out there.
You mentioned the mentoring group. Do you
Mhm.
mind sharing it?
The mentor group. Yep. There's actually the link is in my slides, and yeah, just you can join it, and then we meet like once a month. We'll start meeting again soon, and it's like on a Saturday. They do a live couple-hour video session. It's all virtual. Yep. And like if you want to do a talk, you can do a talk and stuff like that.
Thank you.
Sure. Anyone else?
You did great.
Thank you.
It's a lot of nerve and a lot of guts. Stand up in front of everybody and present at a large conference.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
I was like,
Thank you. Thank you.
well, I appreciate everyone coming and go have fun. Thanks.